Welcome to Fahrenheit Performance Podcast, episode number 77. Today we have the flying doctor himself, Ang Chen Xiang, right?
Yes.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. This is kind of last minute, but I'm really glad we're getting this done. You are a doctor, right?
Yes.
And you're also the current national record holder for the 110-meter hurdles.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
So, Chen Xiang, what do you do and who are you?
So, I think like you mentioned, I'm both a doctor and an athlete.
Yes.
I'm training in pediatrics currently.
Okay.
So I'm based in the National University Hospital.
Okay.
And it's a 6-year training program it's a specialization program to be a pediatrician.
Yep.
And I'm on that halfway through. At the same time, I have been juggling both sport and studies throughout the past, I don't know, 1 or 2 decades maybe. Yeah. And I'm a hurdler. So it's 110-meter hurdles. It's the spring hurdles. And it's a relatively technical event.
Yes.
That I feel I really love because there is so many small little elements that you can optimize to improve on. And those little bits will get you faster.
Yeah. And it's a really explosive event as well, right?
Yeah, I think at the base, it's really a sprint event. So that is your base requirements.
Yep.
And then you throw in an element of skill, technique,
Yep.
maybe almost a little bit like an art on
Yeah,
top of the power and speed.
Yep.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that event?
I started hurdling at maybe 12 years old. Yeah, I remember my dad was the one who kickstarted his whole journey.
Okay.
At that time, I just finished my PSLE and my dad wanted my brother and I to, have some fun in the weekends.
Yeah.
So he took an old table,
Okay.
dismantled it and used the legs to create a hurdle.
Oh, so you chopped the ends off
That's
the
right.
table and then discarded the middle section and then, okay.
Yeah, so we use it as little hurdles and then he taught us the basics of hurdling.
You take it down to the void deck downstairs or something, or you took it to the track? Or?
Yeah, we just did it along the driveway and flat concrete ground and just did some hurdling, basic drills and because my dad was a hurdler himself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's a great fun way to spend the weekends.
Yep.
And that's how I got started hurdling.
So you and your brother were both doing it?
When I was 12.
Is he still doing it now?
He's still hurdling.
Yeah.
And actually he's my coach.
Oh, nice. Okay. And then, so when you're 12, so I guess you didn't DSA in hurdling, or something that you picked up during high school. Eh?
Yeah, so I just sort of did it on the side. Actually, my story is a little interesting. At 13 years old, I started cross country, so long distance running.
Yeah.
Simply because my older brother did cross country, so I was like, I'll just do it as well.
Yeah.
And after the long distance, the cross country season ended. Then we usually had about 2 months before the track and field season starts. And at Sec 1, I was too slow to make the team for the track and field.
Okay.
And so I saw that there's one slot open for the hurdles.
Okay.
I just asked the coach, can I do the hurdles since that's not what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Then I was really shocked at that time.
Yeah.
So he was like, are you sure you can do it? Like, it's quite dangerous,
Because I guess the hurdles are standard height, right? They're quite tall.
So at the youth level, it's shorter and it gets higher as it progresses until the men's open.
Okay.
Yeah, so it varies with age.
So then you're like the small kid on the team. How did your first race go?
Yeah, so first I needed to convince the coach to let me even compete, which I successfully did.
Yeah.
And I did qualify for the finals in my first race.
Yeah.
I think it was just I can't remember what position I came in. But to me, just representing a school was something I really enjoyed. And I look forward to the next competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I guess you're on the team, you got the bug, and then you start some actual structured training, right?
So I was first and foremost still a cross-country runner.
Okay, so you still persisted on the cross country.
That's right. So in Sec 2, I continued my cross-country training. And same thing, 2 months before, but right after the national schools for cross-country, we switched over to the track and field season, and then I did the hurdles again.
Yeah.
And this time I did relatively well. I think I qualified for the finals and I came in 8th position. Yeah.
Okay.
And so that got me thinking. I was like, I trained so hard for cross-country.
Yeah.
And I didn't do too well.
Just change the balance a bit. Right?
Yeah, so I was like, you know what, why not I just shift my focus to the hurdles? and focus on that. And so in Sec 3, I sort of decided that I would focus purely on the hurdles. And we did look back after that.
So in 2015, you set the national record, right? 14.44, right?
Yes.
Is that you're still in high school? You're still in JC or something back then?
I was in NUS at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I was probably 19 or 20 years old.
Okay,
Right.
so you must have been doing hurdles for like 4 or 5 years by then.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, around that.
And then you've broken the national record 15 times since then, right?
That's correct.
Is it just like you're just whittling away at your own time, right? I guess.
That's right. So I think for the past 10 years, essentially, I have broken it 15 times.
Yeah.
Little by little, just chipping away at it.
Yep.
And as you can imagine, in sprint events, when you break records, it's usually by hundreds of a second.
Yeah.
So
is that what it is? So that's what it is. One could have been like 100th of a second fast.
There were a few periods where I think, I remember there was one over a span of 3 weeks. I broke the record 3 times, 14 to 7, to 6, to 5.
And then now you're under 14, right? You're like just last week you broke it again. So right now you're at your prime, right? You're the best you've ever been.
Yes,
Right?
yeah.
What's it? 13
7, 7.
7, right? On the 7th of June. And where was that?
Yeah, so I just got back from Taiwan. It was a Taiwan Open a few days ago. And I broke in the finals, 13.77.
Okay.
I came in 4th, but I mean, it was a stacked field. It was highly competitive. I'm very happy with the performance.
Yeah. So you are a doctor, right? And you're a national record holder, right? I've had another doctor on, his name Nicholas Rachmani. He's a triathlete doctor.
Yeah.
He's just finishing his med school now. And he talked a lot about how difficult it is to balance studies and athletics or training, right? Medicine is not an easy thing to do or to prepare for or to study, and you got your final exams and stuff. How did you juggle, or was there a point where you thought, I'm not going to be a doctor, or I'm not going to be an athlete, or was there a point where you had to choose?
Yeah, I think there were several points where I felt like I needed to choose. And I say so because back when I started medical school in 2013. Yeah, 2013. Sorry, that I might gotten a date wrong. So I broke the record in 2015. I started medical school in 2013.
Yeah, okay.
And I told my dad at the time that I wanted to purely focus on medicine. The demands of the course is very high.
Because you still got, it's not like once you're in medicine, you're a doctor, you've still got the final exams, you got your rotations, you've got a lot of things to go through, right?
Yes, that's right. And I mean, one is just pure content knowledge. And then there's also the clinical rotations that you mentioned, where you are essentially rotating around different specialties.
Yeah.
Learning the ropes there. And it's not just, it's in daytime in the hospital, in the evenings you're studying, and then the day repeats. Yeah.
And then so when are you training?
Yeah, so you train in the evenings.
Okay, after you're studying.
Yeah, that's right. So the coursework is demanding.
Yeah.
You have exams all the time, and it is definitely tough juggling.
So you got to a point where you thought you were going to choose medicine, but then why didn't you? I guess you're still the national record holder at that point, right?
So at that point, I hadn't broken the record yet.
Oh, yeah.
I first got into medical school. Yeah. I hadn't even done hurdling over the men's open height, because all the while as a junior you're hurdling over the junior height, which is 99 cm, and then when you go into university or as an adult, you hurdle over the men's open, which is really high. It's 106 cm. And so at that point, I told my dad to focus on my medicine, and he told me, you know what, don't limit yourself.
Yeah. He's a hurdler as well, right? So he's like, it is hard. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think he saw the potential, and he really wanted me to have a broader mindset that I could do both. And so I decided, just take his advice, give it a shot, and we'll see how it goes.
Yep.
And
were they the toughest time of your life of having to do all those things at the same time?
No, I think being a student athlete is the easy part.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Because working and training is much harder.
Is it?
Yes. Yeah. Being a working adult, and juggling training is way harder than being a student athlete.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you went to the SEA Games twice. Has it been twice? Vietnam and Cambodia, is that correct?
I think 4 times.
4 times. Okay.
2015, 17, 19, 22, and 23.
23, yeah.
So that's 5.
So, okay, so but you got a silver medal in Vietnam, correct?
Right, yeah, now.
And that was the first time since 1967 first time since 1989 that someone had
For medal. Yeah.
for a medal, right? And like a 33-year drought, right?
Yeah.
And then Cambodia, 2 years later, you got the gold medal, right? And that was 56 years since the last time anyone from Singapore's got a gold medal, right, in the SEA Games. How did that change all of your thought processes and training and everything, or your life in general?
I mean, when I work with my coach, our general principle that we follow is that we focus on our technique. Because if you work on your technique, it improves, the time will improve.
Yes.
And when your times improve, then there's a higher chance of you winning medals. So we never really place medal targets for ourselves. We really focus on the technique, on the process, and then that will bring the times down. Because sometimes what happens is the technical execution doesn't come within a few weeks or even a few months. It may take a few years.
Yep. It's like a habit, right? You see the form it.
That's right. So it's really just about trusting that you need to put in the work, the technique will follow, and when the technique follows, the times will follow. And when the times follow, you may or may not win.
Yeah. And
that's not in your control.
And I think of all the events, hurdling is one of those ones where anything can happen, right? You could clip a hurdle, someone next door could clip a hurdle and something could go in your lane.
Yeah.
There's so many things that are out of your control, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there's so many things you can't control. And I think the best way is to really focus on yourself, focus on your run, and then you just see how the results come out after that, because anything can happen.
Was there a difference between Vietnam and Cambodia in terms of the field? Was it the same cast of characters that you lined up against and you did better the second time around, or is it you just had a better race, or the silver medal you didn't have a good race? What was it?
No. With my silver medal, I was super happy.
Okay.
Super happy that there was a national record, a PB at that time already.
Okay.
And then like your question, both years were similar competitors. Yeah. And the following year, same thing, new national record. I had brought down my time by about 0.1.
Yep.
0.1 of a second. So that's quite a lot. And so I ran faster. The field was quite similar, and everyone had improved as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you just chipped away at your fundamentals, right? And you were just a technically better runner 2 years later.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Did that open any, because Singapore medals open doors, right?
Yes.
Did that make your life any easier in terms of training or sponsors or getting things done because you're the reigning gold medalist?
Yeah, so definitely a gold medal at the SEA is a very powerful tool that you have.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You get a lot of support with I guess number one, a medal, and definitely with a gold medal.
Yeah.
And so that SEA Games, the difference between the first and the third was 0.02.
Oof.
Yeah. I tied in my fellow Thai teammate.
Okay, so it was a dead heat.
Yeah, to the thousandth of a second.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was a joint vote.
So 2 gold medals and 1 bronze.
And the bronze. I think the bronze was 0.01 behind.
Wow.
Or 0.02, something to that effect. But essentially, just 100, 200 per second.
Yep.
And that adjusts the amount of support you will get.
Yeah, I know, right? And that's just could be the reaction time off the blocks, right?
Exactly.
Easily take that.
Yeah. And that's why we always focus on the process, and you cannot control the outcome. Because you could run in the personal best and you could come in last.
Yep.
And you can't control that.
So then now that you're the SEA Games gold medalist, and you're the national record holder for last week, right? You're at the top, right? So what are you doing now differently to become even faster?
Yeah, so I think the past 6 months, we have really been working on stabilizing the technique and being really consistent in executing it in all conditions. Because as an athlete, there are different stages of adopting a new technique or adopting certain fundamental approaches.
Yep.
And it takes, in my perspective, it takes months to years for it to fully manifest.
Yep.
Yeah. And my brother and I normally shout out to each other in terms of percentages, like, okay, primary, secondary, tertiary,
Yep.
how many percent are we hitting it in each rep?
Yep.
And then we try to adjust according to it. So if, for example, run one is like primary 90%, secondary 80%, tertiary 70%. The next round we're trying to aim for 95, 90, 85.
Yep.
Yeah. And so the ultimate aim is at completion to be hitting 90, 95% for all three points that we're, technical points that we're looking at. Yeah.
And then, so gold medal at the SEA Games, how does that compare to the rest of Asia, and how does that compare to the rest of the world?
So, I in the same year which I won the SEA Games gold, I came in, I was a finalist in the Asian Games.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that was also very encouraging to me to know that I am competitive at the Asian level.
Yep. Yep.
And so the plan going to 2024 at that time was, I am competitive at this level. I'm Paris Olympics is on the horizon. Let's give it a shot and see whether I can qualify based on world rankings.
Yep.
The top 14 in the world get go.
Okay.
Yeah. And that will require me to sort of go on a circuit to compete and collect performance points to rank myself higher.
Yep.
And so we did that. And of course with funding specs scholarship, it made it very easy to settle and secure competitions and plan the logistics of getting there.
Yep.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't qualify.
Okay.
And that's okay because we know we're giving a long shot.
Yes.
And we took our chances.
Yep.
And I always believe it's okay to try. It's okay to fail.
Yeah.
As long as you know you position yourself in the best possible way for you to succeed.
Exactly.
Like in every competition, you really cannot control many variables. As long as you position yourself well, I think you can take pride in knowing that you did your best.
Yeah. And like, obviously everyone can't go to the Olympics, right? But can you imagine if you didn't try? You would probably be sitting here thinking, what the fuck? I should have done this, I should have done that. But you did it, you gave it a shot. Is the end game to get to the Olympics? Are you still planning to try to go for the LA Olympics maybe?
I mean, I would say going to the Olympics is every athlete's dream.
Yeah.
But at this point in time, what I'm doing is I'm looking year on year first and really just focusing on getting my times down. Because ultimately, you need to be consistently running a certain timing, consistently ranking at high-level races in order to chalk up those performance points.
Yeah, of course.
Get you in a good position in the world rankings. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So then, I'm assuming being a doctor, you're not a part-time doctor, you're a full-time, right? Tell me about your training week. What are you doing? Are you training before work, after work, before and after? What's a typical week?
Yeah, so I think juggling the work with sport is way harder than being a student. Being a student, you attend your classes, you go home, you study. Timing is a little bit more flexible, especially in university, I think. Yeah. But when you're working, your working hours are your working hours. You got to be there. The stress is way higher as well.
Yeah.
My general week, I start my mornings off with some core work, prehab work, just a quick one.
Yep.
And then I go to the hospital, do my work through the day.
So you're at hospital at what, 7 in the morning? Yeah.
Normally we start work between, I would say 6:45 to 7:15. We start work. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So just say average 7 a.m.
Yeah,
we go to work. I normally wake up around 6 a.m. Get a little workout in, and then I go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And you're there until generally 5 to 5:30.
Okay.
Yep. And I start my workout in the evening at about 6.
Are you training, obviously at a track, right? Where do you normally, there's an NUS track? Is that where you are? Because you are...
I'm SCH. So I sometimes train at NUS track.
Yep.
Generally, if my work ends late, so past 6:30, I'll just go over to NUS to train. But our base center is at the Gangnam practice track called athletics.
Yep.
Simply because all the equipment is there. Starting blocks and your hurdles and your gym is all over there.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's easy. I train from about 6 to maybe 8:30. Yeah. 2.5 hours
Every day.
50 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Hurdling is very much an explosive sport, right? So you're not there doing laps of the track. You were there, doing drills or Are you on the track every day, or is some days purely strength, or how do you break that up?
So our program is a bit slightly different from other athletes. You're right. I think most athletes, or when I train full time, I would do a speed day, endurance day, a strength day. But with my schedule, I normally mesh together a little bit of strength work at the end of every session.
Okay.
Simply because my schedule is quite unpredictable.
Yeah.
So I try to have a little bit of a mix, like an 80-20 mix, where 80% track work, 20% strength.
And you deliberately
sprinkle it through the week.
You put it at the end of the session so you are tired and doing the strength work? Is it deliberate, or so you're not tired doing the track work?
So that you're not tired doing the track work, because sprinting is the most demanding activity.
Yeah.
So you need to focus on your core work, which is sprinting and hurdling.
Yep. And then when you actually, my brain is more endurance focused, right? So when you're actually doing your track workouts, is it only jumping hurdles and just you're 100% on the hurdles, or do you do just straight sprints, or do you do a couple of like endurance laps? I don't know why. Or is it only sprinting, only on the hurdles?
Yeah, so we do a mixture of training.
Yeah,
I would say the core focus is sprinting and hurdling. You can't get those are like if you told me I could only train 2 days a week, 1 day is sprinting and 1 day is hurdling. Simple as that. But of course, then the ancillary work is your endurance work. And when I say endurance, I mean no more than 300 meters.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and strength work. So you'll be a mixture of all these workouts.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then if you were going to do something differently, what would you do differently, knowing what you know now compared to when you started?
Well, that's a really good question. I've never thought of that, actually. Okay. I think simply because my entire journey has really been almost sort of a trial and error and adjusting according to how my body has responded.
Okay.
So I really needed that wealth of experience to do micro adjustments to the workouts.
Yep.
And learn from that. Yeah, it's almost a bit like biohacking. You sort of have to figure out what works for you, because what works for me may not work for other athletes.
Okay.
And so I think the journey of discovering my body, myself, my physiology, and my psychology has been really valuable. And I wouldn't know whether if I applied the principles I have now to my younger self, it might actually work. Yeah,
or your brain might not be ready for it, right?
Yeah.
So let me rephrase it a little bit then. Was there anything that you changed once in your training that you suddenly made a big breakthrough, right?
I think it will be in terms of really adjusting and feeling comfortable to the high hurdles, because when I was as a junior in JC, it's 99 cm, and then you jump over to the men's height, which is 1067. It's quite a huge increase in height, and it probably took me 2 years or so to really adjust to it. Okay. And just get over the mental barrier, not just physical barrier. It's a mental barrier of sprinting through the hurdles. Yeah, because I think it's one thing to know that it's a sprint race, but it's another thing to unlock the mind and dare to sprint full speed into a barrier.
Yeah, and you're 110 meters, right? At 13.8 seconds, right?
Yeah.
That is not much off 100 meters at 10 or like 11 seconds or maybe 11 and a half seconds, right? But then you're still jumping things. And, so mentally, do you do anything for your mental game? Like do you do mindfulness exercises or focus techniques?
Yeah, those are new questions as well. So I think that is very important, number one, visualization.
Yes.
So visualizing your race, your technique, what your focus is, and even in that visualization exercise, blocking out your competitors, not being distracted by them is important to add in as well.
Because when you turn up to the games, for example, there's nothing that you can do to train your body anymore, right? That training's done, but you could get easily distracted.
Yeah.
So just focusing mentally And I've seen other podcasts or interviews with sprinters and stuff, and they ask what they do before the race or what they do when they're in the Olympic Village. And one of them says, I write in my journal about how I'm a gold medalist every single day. So when I show up to the race, that's what's going to happen, right? Or you make sure that you know exactly you've already visualized the entire race before it happens. Right? Is there any sort of things that you go through as well?
Yeah, so I do a lot of visualization. Really just drilling into your mind what the technical focus is going to be, and also not being distracted by people around you. I think it helps to zero in on what you need to do on the day itself.
Yep.
That's number one. And like you mentioned, mindfulness, I think that's something that I adopt and perform quite regularly, simply because going into a race, the adrenaline is sky high. You may have sleepless nights before that. So just being grounded. For me, praying is important, and mindfulness exercise, breathing exercises, all sort of reset my CNS to be ready to perform.
Do you do anything for recovery in particular and nutrition?
So I would say in terms of recovery, I do a lot of sports massages to really get the clear the system and lengthen the muscles again, because it gets really tight after a sprint or other session.
Yep.
That's one thing that works very well for me. Nutrition wise, I don't count calories. I don't adhere to a strict diet, but I follow general principles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're generally healthy, but you're not vegan, for example, right? You are you're not having KFC every day or McDonald's or something like that.
Yeah. So general principles of nutrition, eat your vegetables, your fruits, eat sufficient carbs, focus on the protein. For explosive sports, more protein. But you need your carbs as well, because you're burning through your fuel through the day.
Yeah.
And of course, avoiding your sugary sweet snacks, your fried processed foods. General principles. I'm not trying to say that you can't have them, but you can't be having it like every day.
I'm looking down here because that was one of my questions. It's like, do you have a cheat day food that you secretly go to every once in a while, maybe after you've finished the race or something like that?
Yeah. So for sure, there's after competitions, I do enjoy myself a little bit, have a good snack. Like I think after Taiwan, I had a bubble tea.
You okay?
Yeah.
Of course, you have to have it in Taiwan, right?
Yeah. So definitely. And like I said, it's just like I always tell my juniors or fellow athletes, just like how training once a week is not going to make you fast.
Yeah.
Eating fried food or sugary snack once a week, it's not going to make you fat or slow.
Yeah.
But doing it week on week or 3-4 times a week,
Yep.
it will add up. It will compound.
Or eating healthy once a week is not going to help you either. You need to be healthy most days of the week, and if you are going to be unhealthy, maybe once a week, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so it's okay to enjoy yourself once in a while. That's fine. That's normal. That's human, and it's probably good mentally. Yeah. Being too strict on a diet really makes things quite dreadful.
Yep. Swimmers and athletics people are notorious for having game day routines. Put the left sock on first. Only use the blue shoelaces or something. Do you have anything like that you particularly adhere to?
I would say that I don't have anything like strict.
Yeah.
I generally just wear everything as similar as possible to what I do in training. Yeah. So you'll be similar shoes, similar socks. Just be comfortable and like.
So a week before or a month before the training, a month before the games, you're already training in something that's quite similar.
Yeah, exactly. So we will normally get our competition gear for the year.
Yep.
In advance, and so then every race you'll see me wearing the exact same gear.
Yep.
Like I'm not gonna change or vary the color or the type of tights or the type of shoe. Generally, the brand or the model, I'm sticking to it
For the whole season.
through the competition season, so that you're super comfortable and you're ready. You don't change things last minute.
Yep. Just curious, how many pairs of spikes do you go through every season, or how many do you have in your rotation?
So I would say in general, I have about 2 to 3 pairs of spike shoes.
Okay.
Yeah. I have one pair purely for competition. So
Okay.
it's fresh.
It's like the
Yeah.
the special occasion shoes.
Exactly. So I only wear it for competition.
So when you're lacing those up, it's game day, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good thought.
Yeah, and then you have your normal training pair or maybe 1 or 2 training pairs. And those training pairs tend to be old spike shoes from the previous competition season.
Okay.
They now, I guess, downgrade to a training pair.
Yeah.
You buy a fresh new competition pair for the next season. Yeah, but I might try different brands just to for the fun of it,
Okay.
because the feel is a little different and it's fun, it spices things up.
So I guess you're not tied to any sponsor in terms of your shoes then, so you can just do it. That's actually quite liberating, because then you can, what you feel is the best you can wear, right? You don't, if you have let's just say the sponsor isn't what you feel is the best, it might play mind games with you, right?
Yeah. And I always advise other athletes, they are sort of discussing which spike shoe is the best. I say, just pick a spike shoe you're comfortable with.
Yes.
And then that you're comfortable and you think will help you perform best. And that's all, because the psychological advantage is way more important than the shoes you're wearing, I think.
Yeah, true. So tell me this, for the unicorn best hurdler in the world, or just the ideal hurdler, what sort of person, what is the ideal, what do you need to be a good hurdler?
Okay. I think hurdlers in general are very analytical. Like, we like to review our footage, tweak things, see how we can improve. So probably that in terms of...
So you're watching your race in slow-mo, and you're watching how much I cleared the hurdle by, where I landed, how many steps.
That's right. The timing of the landing, body positioning. Yeah.
Okay.
We love looking at all this. So because it's a very technical event, and being in the wrong angle will cut off the speed. So I think you have to be that. You also really need to have some element of power and explosiveness. And be very reactive.
Yep.
Yeah, in terms of your tendons and muscles.
So your fast twitch, if we did a biopsy on you right now, your fast twitch muscles will be much more than average, I guess.
I would say so, but I wouldn't say that it was a genetic blessing. I had to work many years for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is something. So that is something that you can work on and improve over time.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a genetic basis to how much fast fibers you have, but why worry about that? Because you can't control.
Yeah, exactly.
So we all really always focus on the variables that you can control, and then those that you can't, you don't worry about it. And so I think that's one. So the fast twitch, explosive fibers, and or training, you really need to be flexible. I think that's important. And on top of that, height.
Physical flexibility.
Oh yes, yeah.
Right?
Physical flexibility. Yeah.
Because when you're going over the hurdle, that one leg is straight, and then the back leg is you need to be as flat as possible just to clear it just enough, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's important. Also being tall, you need height. Because I mean, the taller you are, the shorter the hurdle is.
Well, in relative terms, right?
Yeah. So I would say ideally it's maybe 6 foot to 6'2", and I think most hurdlers are within that height range.
Okay.
Yeah. I think those are the key attributes.
Okay.
For hurdler.
My last question is always, how do people get a hold of you? Instagram, Ang Chen Xiang.
Yeah.
Is that the best way? I'll flash it up on the screen. What next for you? Is it you're focusing on SEA Games at the end of this year? Is that the short-term goal?
Yeah. So SEA Games end of the year in December, early December. Currently, I will be doing a bit more of conditioning, general preparation work.
Yep.
Yeah. Taiwan was the last competition of my sort of first half of the season.
Okay.
Gonna build up my reserves a little bit first, because it's a really long season this year.
So I talk to a lot of triathletes, and it's like you do the race, and then you reset, you build, you peak again for the next race. I'm assuming it's something similar to for you. You've just done your race last week. Now take a couple of days off, do a podcast, and then back to training. You're going for training camp tomorrow, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So I think slightly different from a triathlon. We go for a series of races.
Okay.
Because each race sort of builds on itself, on each other. So you sort of get better with each race. And I'm speaking from a sprinter's point of view. Yeah. Of course, you can't be running 10Ks week after week, right? Yeah. So it's a bit different. We tend to go for a series of 2 to 3 races. Then we take a little bit of a reset, and then go another series of races, and then we take another reset. You can't really drag it out too long. If you drag it out too long, your performance will start to decline.
Yep.
So
that's why if the peak is a hump, you try to get all the races in the top of that.
That's
top of that hump, right?
Yeah.
And then SEA Games is what, five months away? Or,
Yeah, 5 or 6 months. Yeah.
Are you doing any more racing before the SEA Games?
Ideally, we are trying to source for a few races to go for, and hopefully use that to pick for the SEA Games.
Going back to you're a doctor, right? How do you fit all this stuff in and travel and training camps and altitude or whatever while you're still just have a very flexible boss? Or
So,
well, they must have known that you're an athlete coming in, right?
yeah. So I mean, first and foremost, I have to thank my department and my division for supporting me and giving me, I guess, the leeway to take leave of absence to go for these competitions, training camps, major competitions. So they are very understanding and very supportive. So I think that's important. I have sort of, scheduled time off to take leave of absence to compete, to train. So I do have seasons of being a full-time athlete interspersed in my
full-time seasons of being full-time doctor.
That's right. Yeah. And I think it's important. And I really like this. I feel that it feeds to each other, meaning gives contrast to my life.
Yeah.
And I always find that I come back after a training camp refreshed, and excited to work.
Yep.
Yeah. And same thing, when I go into a training camp, I'm really excited because it's like, I have time to fully focus, fully recover.
Yeah.
And then when that's done, I go back to work. I'm excited to work again.
Yeah, because you're working, you can take your mind off your training, right? And then the training takes your mind off the work.
That's right. Yeah. So I think that contrast and color, something I really appreciate.
Yeah. I'm so glad we did this. Training camp tomorrow, you're flying out.
Yeah.
How long is the training camp for? And then just build back for the SEA Games, I guess.
That's right. Yeah. So the training camp is to kickstart my general preparation.
Yeah.
It's 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it in Asia somewhere? Or
I'm going to Japan.
Okay. Is that where a lot of the hurdlers are, or why did you choose Japan?
Well, we have a memorandum of understanding, or Singapore Athletics has a memorandum of understanding. We formed the sports universities there.
Okay.
So it facilitates change.
Oh, that's cool.
In integration.
Yep.
So it's a great place for a training camp. I haven't been there, but I've heard many good things and I'm excited to go there.
Yep.
The weather's perfect now. It's like 20 to 25 degrees.
It's going into summer or just about there.
So it's really great for volley work.
Yeah. Okay, man. Thank you so much for coming in. I look forward to seeing you again at the end of the year, watching you at the SEA Games, and all the best. Okay. And, thanks for doing this.
Yeah. Thanks for your time as well.
Yeah, no worries.